Several congressional committees are racing to get President Trump's big, beautiful bill finished, but finding the right balance for the $1.5 trillion in proposed cuts has been tricky. Let's bring in Texas Congressman Jody Arrington, chairman of the House Budget Committee, which, of course, plays a vital role in passing the president's budget cuts. So three big questions looming out there. First of all, what's the dollar figure on spending cuts? What is the size of the tax cut? And what do you do about Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security?
Okay, so we in the House have a balanced budget resolution where we match the savings with the cost. Cost is not just tax, cost is defense, cost is a plus up for border security. We do an assumption on growth. The president grew the economy 1% over the 1.8 in the last in his first term, and we have an annual average assumption of 2.6, which is very conservative. So you take the growth rate, which will yield about $2.5 trillion. And then you take the $1.5 to $2 trillion in spending reductions or entitlement reforms, because it's focused on these mandatory programs, and that will match the $4.5 trillion roughly of what it will cost to extend the tax cuts and to make them permanent so we have the biggest bang for our buck in terms of economic impact. All together with growth and bending the mandatory spending curve, we'll bring down the debt to GDP, which is the real measure of success with respect to our fiscal health, which has been in rapid decline. The wheels are coming off, so we can't get to work any sooner on this.
I wasn't expecting a lecture on economics this afternoon, but I'm just wondering again, is it $1.5 trillion in cuts? What's the size of the tax cut? What are you going to do about SALT? And what do you do actually when you try to bend the curve with the so-called entitlements? What happens to them? Because Democrats are saying you're going to gut Medicare, you're going to gut Medicaid, and you're going to, I guess, rescind the promise that this country has made to so many people who are approaching retirement.
It's the same scare tactics and rhetoric we've heard from Democrats year in and year out. And if we believed them, and if we were too worried about what they would say that isn't true, then we would never right this ship fiscally. What's driving the debt is mandatory spending. So if you take Medicaid, for example, doesn't have a work requirement for able-bodied adults. Hundreds of billions of dollars are siphoned off, not for Medicaid patient treatment, but for providers and for insurers and for states. And you have a list of ways we are wasting tax dollars, and we're not investing in the sustainability of the program. These aren't benefit cuts. This is rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse, and it's significant. It's hundreds of billions of dollars throughout the country every year. So we have a balanced approach to it so that we don't leave the deficit growing. The deficit's crowding out investment. It's hurting the economy, but it's also jeopardizing our children's futures.
So what are you going to do about SALT deduction? State and local taxes. Right now it's at 10,000. Some people are calling for 30. Democrats, of course, want to take the cap off altogether.
Well,
so where are you going to go with that?
Well, we're going to have to find a happy medium, like a lot of things. We had one vote margin when we passed the budget resolution. We have 3 votes, but it's still threading the needle. So we can't get everything we want. The SALT guys won't get everything they want. The swing district folks who are more concerned about entitlement reform won't get everything they want. The debt hawks like myself won't get as much deficit and debt reduction as we want.
The other big question is, can you get this done by Memorial Day? Lisa McClain, your colleague in the House, believes that you can. It looks like the Senate might drag this through to the summer.
We've met or exceeded every time frame milestone to date, and it's faster than it's ever been done in 50 years since we had reconciliation. So I have no reason to believe we won't get it done by Memorial Weekend. The Senate will be delayed. We've driven the process in the House from the outset. The Senate doesn't even have enforceable spending cuts in it. So I think the serious work and the substantive work has been done in the House, and now that we're in the policy-making process, the House is going to drive that piece as well.
All right, the clock is running and the president is pushing. We'll see where you go with this.
Indeed.
Congressman, thanks for dropping by. Thanks for hanging through the cabinet meeting.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Senator?
God bless.